I met a guy, Rick, or for this story I'm going to say his name's Rick. That's not his true name, but the story is definitely true. He was referred to me by a friend and was interested in buying property, investing in property, and creating a situation where he didn't have to work anymore. He'd been married for almost 30 years. His kids were grown up. He'd been working in the mines for 26 years and did it out of a sense of duty to provide for his family. I sat there with him and his wife, and he told me the story of how he went into the mines to basically provide for the family and buy a home, and he moved to a mining town, and that was up in the north of South Australia, and bought a property there, and the value went up. And he thought, wow, I'm working hard and I bought a property, the value went up, so I'll go and do another one. Now, the reality is he didn't know why the property went up. He was an accidental investor. He just bought a property because he thought it was a good idea. In fact, I thought it was actually his home. It was the first property they bought to live. So because that went up, they thought, well, I'll buy another property. And he bought another property a few years later. But guess what happened? The property went backwards. In the end, he wasn't in a better financial position, and he left that job because he was so tired and downtrodden. I spoke to his wife, and this is of more recent times, and he said he'd work away for 3 weeks and then come home for a week. And she said in the week he came home, the first 2 days he'd just be angry. Actually, no, the other way around. The first 2 days he'd just sleep. When he came out of the sleep, then he'd have 2 days that were pretty much good, and he could interact with his family, and then he had to start preparing. The last 2 days he was just angry. Anyway, he moved there and moved to central New South Wales and got a different job, still in the mines, still in that industry anyway, and again, bought a property again to live in. The market went up, thought, wow, I'm going to buy another property again. So a few years later, he used that equity, starting all over again, he bought another property, but again, he'd waited too long. He didn't understand the market. He didn't put any energy into his skills. He didn't try and get his financials right. He just worked hard, bought another property because one went up, and he just assumed the next one will go up. Guess what? Once again, the second property he bought went down. And invariably, by the time he came to see me, he'd basically was back in a position where his debt was about even. He wasn't any further ahead. He didn't have the option to stop work. He was now 26 years in a role that he hated. He literally hated his life, hated his wife, and his life was just all strife. And he kind of talked to me about wanting to change it. And I said, well, there's definitely options here, but you're going to have to change the way you're going about things. And there's things you're going to need to work on if you want these outcomes. And first that was to sit down and really get clear on what he wanted, as opposed to what he didn't want. And then from that point, really sit down and develop his skills and develop his understanding and work on his mindset to become more aware, more conscious about his decisions, and more strategic and smart about his decisions and less reactive. Anyway, he started working with me, and within a month or two, just life, he couldn't change, basically. He was in such a habit of going to work and doing what he'd always done, even though he hated it. And even though it was wrecking his relationship, but it destroyed pretty much the relationship with his kids. He couldn't have a conversation with them. His wife was already in a situation where she was pretty much independent and they weren't communicating, and this was the last straw. And unfortunately, I couldn't do anything about it because he had to make the choice to change. And I think that's what ultimately this is all about. It's not about making money. It's not about financial security. It's about raising awareness to create the future that you truly desire. And for some people, that may mean basically having a house debt-free. Other people, it may mean just working a little bit less. Other people, it's helping their kids, making a difference on the planet. There's so many different things. None of those are wrong, but getting clear on what you want is so important. And then, of course, you link your strategy to that goal, and then you choose a vehicle and you develop the skills to make sure you can do it successfully and have a clear plan. And that's what our group that we've started is all about. It's called Your Future Redesigned. It's about sharing skills, because I believe any single person can change their circumstances today, no matter where you are. And you can do it, and there's things you can do that you can change within your own control. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go and become a millionaire tomorrow, nothing like that, but you can start to improve your circumstances and work towards a better life and what you want. And if you're interested in that, join our group. I'm going to share as much as I've learned, no cost, just I really want to make a difference. And obviously that's what our Xylem Zone, our community group's all about. It's a community group to share skills, empower people, create self-reliance, self-resilience, and help them create a better life for them and their family and the planet. See you soon. Jump online.